What's going on, team? It's another wonderful Sunday afternoon. It's our, we call it Deep South Live. This is probably my favorite time on the week. Just a good time, just fellowship, cook a great meal together, and hang out. So I'm super excited that you're here. Just to talk about what we're doing today, we're actually doing a dish that I did live on Fox this week on the news. If you haven't seen that, it's in my Facebook. I'll post it again back over to Instagram so everybody gets to see it. Just a great time hanging out. But just to tell you where we're at, so we're making a pan-seared salmon with curried collard greens and yams. So again, doing a great spin on a couple traditional Southern sides and putting a little modern Indian twist, if you will, to modernize this up. So to get this going, just a heads up, I have a pot of uh, basically blanching liquid behind me, meaning salt, water. You want it just short of salty as the sea. And then we're going to use this to blanch 2 items just to kind of speed the process up. Now, we could cook these straight up into our mix, but I think this is best blanched first because it's really got to brighten the colors for it. So I like to blanch them first before I go into the main dish. But for these collard greens, we got this big long stem right there. We want to pull those off, goes right to our chicken bucket. Again, pull them up, pull them right off. Yes, you can cook these. Some people like cook them down like celery and stuff like that. They're not bad. They're just not very edible if you're not going to cook them for a very long time. It's kind of like celery on steroids. Unless you're going to sit there and cook them, it's going to be a minute before those are tender. So I got a nice roaring boil back here. I'm going to drop those down in my liquid. And again, I'm just wanting to give them a quick blanch. We're literally going to give these about 30 seconds into that liquid. Again, it's going to turn it nice, bright green. And then we're going to shock them by putting them over into the fridge. A lot of times you could put them in just a little bit of ice water, and that'll help it. But for this small batch, we're just going to pop it real quick, and then I'm going to slide it over here into this fridge if that's off screen. Make it a little bit easier. I got a little bit of disposable plate. All right. Again, that's it right there. It's a nice little quick shock just to add in the colors that we're looking for. And that's it. Nice bright green. Getting that into the cooler. Getting the temperature on that dropped quick. All right, now let's start getting to the nitty gritty. I'm gonna start heating my big pot right here. While I do that, let's get our yams. This is a red yam. Now I need to cook this down and get it tender. I'm actually gonna blanch it behind me. Kind of speed this up. You could, in theory, leave the skins on. I tend to take skins off. Maybe it's the chefy perfectionist in me. But I think you kind of get a better texture and consistency on it. There's also kind of like, a little bit of dirt and stuff that's on those. Nice, good, sharp knife. Oof, that's thick. That is a good old Mississippi potato right there. There we go. I'm going to add these over. Whoop. And this is going to add a lot of sweetness. Curry, when you're talking about coconut and curry and a lot of that stuff, it actually has a very bitter taste. So having something like a yam or sweet potato kind of helps lighten that dish up and kind of bring some balance to it. I feel like Indian food kind of is that perfect matchup for Indian food. Like soul food and Indian food, I feel like make a good match. I feel like people will fight me on that, but I think that would be, in my opinion, one of the best like fusions cuisines that are out there.
What inspired you to fuse Indian and soul food in this particular recipe?
So what infused me to mix,
Inspired you.
inspired me to infuse these in. So as a corporate chef, I actually had a client who had a Indian buffet that they were opening up, and they just could not quite get business to flow right. And so that was really the first time he kind of had the idea of, I was like, well, let's take things that are from that area. They're in South Louisiana. So let's take South Louisiana soul food and let's mix that with Indian flavors. And that's kind of the first time I started to teeter into it. And I'm not going to lie, I kind of, spent a lot of time researching into it. You can go into Chat GPT, yeah, and ask them to create you some things. But Indian foods really has a lot of technique to it, and unless you're ready to put in the technique, you're not really going to understand how to maximize the flavors. So what I had to do was actually literally study this dish and figure out how to maximize all of those flavors. Should have pre-warmed this dish. There we go. Starting to get toasty. All right. So a key thing with Indian cuisine, can we see this on our screen? Just double checking. Sous chef, there we go. Uh, so a key part of this dish, though, is blooming all of these spices. Indian food is great because it has all these different blends of spices that come into play. The most important part of that, though, is making sure that we are toasting up those spices to get the right flavor. So we got a couple of spices going in. So we're going to start with our whole spices first. So first is coriander. We're going to put in about a teaspoon. Next is mustard seed. Again, about a teaspoon.
You're putting them dry into the dry.
Putting dry in. I'm going to add in just a little bit of oil here in just a second. But kind of giving them just a little bit of a stir around in that straight heat. And this is starting to heat up quick. So it's perfect. Again, just gives them like just a light little bit of toast. I don't want to toast them too hard because I actually got a lot of cooking to do before I add any liquids into this. So I'm going to add about a tablespoon of our oil. And now we're going to start to sweat in I call it like a flavor bomb. So we've got in here, we've got lemongrass, ginger, garlic, and and this guy, because yet again, we are got a second round of peppers out of the garden. So why not give it a little hit, a little bit of spice in, just a drop. There we go. Chickens love spicy peppers. They love seeing those in there. So I'm going to add this in here. Oh, yeah, we go. Hear that nice little frying sound. That's what we're after. So working all day, just so we're all on the same page.
How does sweating the spices actually enhance the flavors? What's the
So the thought process behind sweating the spices is about distributing the flavor amongst the oil itself. The flavor carrier is the oil. The oil is going to distribute all of that flavor throughout the whole dish. The fat will. But to get that, I need to maximize the flavor on that fat. So again, that's when we add these again little flavor bombs of again, I'm just going to give that just a little bit of a sweat. I do not want to put color on this. I'm not looking to brown this. I'm looking just to strictly add a little bit of flavor to it. Smells amazing. I'm going to add just a little bit of red pepper flake. Again, these potatoes behind me, I'm just cooking them until they're tender. All right, I'm not looking to cook them until they're mush. I'm wanting just for probably 10-15 minutes, and then we'll finish them in here once we puree the sauce. All right, so I'm good to go here. Skin's very aromatic in here. Got the mustard seeds, everything in there ready to go. Nothing sticking to the bottom. There's no caramelization happening Yes.
Living in England wants to know if I needed to have one spice or herb in my kitchen, one to rule them all, what is that item and why?
Are we talking about, obviously we're talking outside of salt and pepper, I would think. So for me, if I got to have one flavor that I got to live with the rest of my life, it's probably, and this is probably going to show you how maybe Southern I am, but slap your mama slap your mama spice. I don't think I got it over here, but I definitely have some over in the cabinet. I use slap your mama on a lot. It's really good. It's really balanced. It's got heat, but it's not too salty. All right, real quick, we're going to add in our next levels of spice here. So again, we've got no browning going on inside of this pan. Now we're going to start to kind of build all of this extra flavor. All right, now you could use dry, but we are going to use fresh grated turmeric. So again, you could use the dry turmeric if that's what you had available. I found this at Whole Foods, so I know it's kind of out there in the world. You can find them at any open market. Yeah, I'm just going to give this just a little bit of a grate. I'm going to sit the rest of there here because we're going to use more in just a minute. Next, we have our garam masala. I'm going to put in 2 teaspoons of that. And now we're really starting to build the aromatics in here. And then just about 1 teaspoon of curry powder. And then again, we're going to toast this fat. And again, toast all those spices.
Down for debate. Is it better than Tony's?
Oh, ouch. Oof, all the spices coming up. I mean, that is a very, very close one. I would probably take, man, for the rest of my life, I had to choose one. I would probably go slap your mama. You know, I'm probably going to regret saying that on TV or on my channel because I use Tony's a lot, but I like slap your mama. All right. Before I put any amount of color on here, I want to add in my coconut milk. So this is, sorry, not coconut milk, coconut cream. There is a difference. It's kind of already pre-reduced for me. You could, if you had coconut milk, use coconut milk. I like this because it's kind of already thickened up. I don't have to cook it as long. We're really only wanting to cook it to when the lemongrass gets super tender. And third can. There we go. Again, I feel like somebody might want to fight me over that comment. I don't know. It's actually a really tough one. I'm going to check these sweet potatoes behind me real quick. Oop, it's already there. So let's give these a strainy strain. You know. Oop. Again, I don't want to overcook these to their mush. We want these to actually still have some texture whenever they go into this dish. It's going to make it taste a lot better. So yeah, we're just at that point where they're wanting to break up a little bit. So I'm going to sit those over here and off to the side. Now to finish this off, again, we're going to let it heat up. We'll put the lid back on it just so I can heat it just a little bit faster, just so we don't have to sit here in slow-mo. These little electric tops, you know, they're kind of the bane of my existence. You know, yet again, you know, it's episode 1. They made fun of me for not being able to get an electric stovetop to work right. On live news this week, I couldn't get the stovetop to work either. So I'm thankful that we were able to pull it out at the last minute and get it going because it was not looking good. All right, so
Is it you and induction cooktops?
it's me versus induction. I think inductions are good in the right context, but you got to have the right. It's an expensive stovetop. You got to know how to work it. It's kind of like getting a cell phone for the first time. Like you know how like your grandmother gets like their first cell phone, like an iPhone 17 Pro Max. It's kind of like that. You got to learn all the buttons and how it operates, and then all the pots and pans are super expensive. So it's kind of like having you have to have accessories for the accessories that are also expensive accessories. That's what an induction is like. Me, I just like gas. All right, so let's kind of talk in our world of salmon real quick. I have delicious salmon right here. Now, first things first, go up there to your salmon or into your local fish guy. Yes, your big box stores like Kroger and Walmart are going to have salmon. I highly, I'm always skeptical of some of these larger big box companies, but I will say in my market of Jackson, Mississippi, Whole Foods is by and large the best purveyor of fresh fish. I go in there and they have a nice, pretty good variety of when it comes to fish. And again, it's always really high quality. So they had like three different types of salmon and, that salmon family. They had everything from rainbow char, they had sockeye, they had Atlantic salmon, they had Norwegian salmon, which is what this is. And then they had one other type of salmon, but this is a Norwegian fresh salmon. This is super great. Look at the quality of that. You got a really nice marbling on it. Some really good fat buildup. I got one piece over here. Not everybody is a skin on a person. Miss Mariev here, she's not 100% on the skin team, but I like the skins when it's done properly. I prefer the skins.
This person likes Fresh Market.
Fresh Market. Okay. We have one Fresh Market. I think that's the one that's across the street from Whole Foods. But I've not been in there. I'll have to, yeah, I'll have to. It's a tiny one. I'll have to check that one out next time. That's a good suggestion. I've gotten some other oddities from there, but I've actually never been back there in that fish section. So I appreciate that.
Why is it so hard for chefs to get the salmon dish right on Hell's Kitchen?
Why is it right? Hard. So the salmon dish, one, it's whew, so tough question. As a person who's been on Fish Station already once or twice, it's really comes down to the size piece that you use and the technique on it, which we're going to use that technique to cook this one through. I think in our chef world, we like bigger, better, faster. I think bigger, better, faster doesn't always get us the right product that we're looking for. It's actually why we're going to start this process for the salmon actually on the sooner side. The technique that we used on the salmon in Hell's Kitchen, you basically put a little bit of oil in the pan. The pans are already scorching hot. They're up on that top centerpiece. If you're really watching and you're looking what's going on, the pans are up there in the top. Well, that's the vent for that oven. So that's preheating it to whatever that temp is down below it. And unfortunately, that's 550 degrees on the fish station. It's blazing hot. So these pans easily over toast, and you really got to be dialed into that temperature. And it's hard because you've got apps and entrees. Meat Station, you just got entrees. And so you're really able and you get a forewarning of what's coming. As they're calling in the apps, they get to call in the entrees. But on Fish Station, you are dropping apps and entrees. And it is a very, very, very difficult station. It is, you look at season after season after season, some of the best chefs get eliminated off of Fish Station. Fish Station and believe it or not, Garnish are the two biggest killers for most of the chefs on the show. Ooh, that is thickening up nicely, looking good. Now I am gonna cheat behind me just a little bit. Now I got some brown sugar back here. This is this is going to be a little on the bitter side. So we need to offset this with two things, acid and sugar. So I am going to add about a little more than a tablespoon's worth of sugar. I'm using brown sugar. Gives it a nice little caramel back taste. And then we're going to give it, we're going to start with 1 lemon. We're going to give it juice of 1 lemon. Lime, sorry. Thanks, chef. Heard. No, you're good. You're good. I'd rather get it right than.
Can't always see green.
All right, so I got my potatoes back there working. All right, I'm going to bring my pan up here, start getting this working. Get this preheated just a little bit. Now, to cook this salmon, we are going to make some score marks on it. If I put this salmon skin side down now, that skin, because it's solid, it's going to crinkle up and shrivel in some weird shape. But by giving it score marks, it's going to help it stay flat. Skin side, if you're doing no skin, don't worry about that. That's not anything you got to deal with. You really don't want to dig into the meat. Just want to give a little cut across the skin. There we go. Nice and simple. I don't know if you can even see that on the camera, really, but it's a nice little mark. Now, obviously, if you are skin side, this is presentation side every single time. You want that super, super crispy skin facing up. But if you are going skinless, you don't want to see this is what's up underneath the skin. You see that brown right there? That's like that bloodline that's really fatty. It's not always the most pleasant of flavors. So a lot of people will shave that out. I like to do it post cooking if it's too much, because all that'll be cooked. It's very easy to kind of scrape off. But this side, when you're doing skin off, the non bloodline side, this side would be your presentation side. A lot of people kind of get that wrong when it's their first couple times cooking salmon. It's one of the things that we've been training on our kitchen at the hospital, is getting proper salmon side facing up when we're going to serve. Everything's looking good. So I am going to be adding some flavor into this oil. I'm not just going to let it be. I got some things I'm going to add in, again, to intensify the flavors, kind of like what we did with this right here. So doing that, I got a couple leftover bits of ginger from the ginger that we shredded up for this. I've got garlic, and I'm going to sneak the last little bit of that turmeric in there, and that's probably going to add a little bit of color as well as a little bit of taste. I'm just going to kind of put that over into the corner, kind of let that fry up in there. It's going to be delicious. For our salmon, all right, we need salt and the pepper, of course. Again, I'm going to pick up some extra flavor inside of this pan so I don't have to go too buck wild with much. Salt and pepper is going to be plenty. Get that little scale off. And if you can, if you go to like your farmers markets that have like the fish, ask for them to take the scales off if you're going to do skin on. My it's kind of, I think, my wife's least favorite thing about fish is the scales, because I'll be leaving a scale trail everywhere I go whenever I do fish. I had to clean for an extra like 10-15 minutes today because it won't be scales all over everything. And then even as we're working, I still find them.
Chickens love them.
The chickens do love them, though. All right. Oil's looking nice. And again, I'm just going to get that salmon skin side down. And I'm just going to start letting it work there nice and gently. I'm not rushing it. What I'm going to do is cook that about 80% of the way through, skin side down. And then we're going to flip it over, baste it with just a couple drops of butter, and then it's going to be done nice and easy. All right. We'll do this other piece of salmon in a little bit. It's just working hard, smelling really, really good. Waiting for this to get tender. Again, the lemongrass kind of takes a little bit to get tender. We're gonna blend it and then push it through a fine sieve, which is just a strainer. That's a an optional process, but I think it makes it just a lot creamier, silky. It gives it that luxurious feeling when you don't have little bits of ginger and things like that within the sauce. That also eliminates whenever you're going to cook and say you're cooking it in batches, all the ginger and garlic sinks to the bottom, and then you pour off a little bit into somebody's dish, and then whoever gets the unfortunate last bit is going to get nothing but ginger and garlic chunks inside of their food. I just kind of like to eliminate that.
What is a
Yeah.
mistake you made early on in your career that you've learned the most from?
The mistake that I learned early most. Uh, be willing to do the work. I think a lot of times, especially now, it seems that people just want to, if they're not, even when they come out of culinary school, they think that they're just promised something or guaranteed something. Probably the best thing that ever happened to me is to work under a chef that still made me wash dishes, that still made me work prep, that still made me go pick vegetables, that still made me go out there and do grunt work. You learn a lot more doing that grunt work than you will being up on the line. Like, it's great being in dinner service, and there's something magical. It's kind of like a ballet going on around you. Like, I love restaurant dinner services, but you don't learn all the subtleties and the different things of the sauces and the how to make sauce, how to properly cut things, all the basic skills that you really need. Because when you get the basic skills right, everything else is there. You learn how to make, your five mother sauces. You learn how to do proper knife cuts, make your first stock, your first couple of soups. You really can build from there. But when you just rush it and you're ready to just hop on the line and do stuff, you don't know how to do anything if somebody else isn't giving you the basics for you.
Somebody is super excited about the curry collards.
It really is a low key, just really delicious dish. I was surprised, I'd imagine these flavors together. But until I did it for the news team the other day, that was really the first time I'd ever put this dish actually together. So I was, you know, slightly concerned, yet not. And it kind of worked out for us. So that salmon is starting to work. Again, I'm just going to give it a little move around, just make sure I'm not sticking to the pan. A non-stick pan is definitely where you want to go on this salmon. Makes things a whole lot easier. I've got some, if you're on the market for them, whenever this episode actually posts, you'll have links to hex-clad pans. I 100% swear by hex-clad pans. We use them on the show, and I'll be 100% honest with you. We abused the absolute mess out of them. They were getting metal tongs in them. We were slapping them in the ovens at 550, 600 degrees. We were straight up abusing those pans, and yet they were able to show right back up, wipe them out, and they were ready to go again. They're really, really good nonstick pans. I'll have a link down below whenever this goes. Um, Whenever we repost this into like YouTube, we'll have it in the descriptions down below on a couple different pans. They're a little bit more expensive, but they are incredibly, incredibly, incredibly worth it.
So JB says collards are way better than kale with a smiley face. How do you feel about collards versus kale?
Um, I like collards, but you got to know how to cook them properly. Kale, they're a little bit more of a open platform, meaning that they're a little bit more versatile than collards. I think collards require a little bit more technique. And what I mean by that is collards have a very bitter back taste. And so, again, they require sugar and acid to balance them. Kale, you could pretty much just saute in some chicken stock and you're good to go. Maybe add a little butter if you're feeling extra luxurious. but collard greens really needs just a little bit more to make them. So I like mine, of course, with I think we've done them on the show before, but with some kind of smoked meat in there. So whether that is ham hocks or turkey necks to add that smoky sweet flavor. We always add brown sugar. There's always apple cider vinegar in there as well, and then a little extra acid in there to top it all off. I love having just a little bit of my wife's chow chow, which I don't see any right here on the normally. Oh, there it is, right there. Chow chow and squash relish, which is literally chopped squash, peppers, onions, and apple cider vinegar and sugar. It's absolutely delicious. So I'm starting to get a little warm here, so I'm going to turn my heat down. Again, I kind of want this to slow roll. I'm not wanting to rush this and burn my skin. So I'm going to give it just a little bit of a check, just to check on it. Still, oh, I'm still plenty fine there. I don't want to rush it and have my chicken cook through and then my skin not perfect. The skin is the most important part of that salmon dish. Now comes the fun part. So be super, super, super careful while you do this. What?
Called it chicken.
What did I say?
He called it chicken.
Who called it? I called it chicken.
Called it chicken.
That I called this chicken.
Yeah.
Oh, salmon. My bad. You know, it's a day. I don't know if y'all have had a week, but I've had a week. You know.
What's the best meal you have ever eaten? And you can't say my enchiladas yesterday.
The enchiladas yesterday were on point. Best meal I've ever eaten. It's
Ever.
pretty crazy ever. Can I do a top three? Because I don't know if I can pick off the three.
That's kind of cheating.
Yeah, but they're all wonderful. They really are all wonderful.
Okay,
So
top three best meals ever eaten.
top
Not like your top three favorite, but the top three the best
the
meals.
best meals. I think the man. So I think the whole pig smoke we did last year, maybe because I was so invested in it,
Right.
but the whole pig smoke last year, yes, it was something very simple. It wasn't fine dine, but I thought that meal was absolutely amazing. Everybody brought dishes from home, and we did. We grew the pig out here. It was something that was very special. Second, I had a family friend that was Italian that invited me over for Christmas or Thanksgiving with their family. And they have like an Italian grandmother, like not from like New Jersey Italian, like from Italy that made a Christmas meal. And that was probably that one might be up there. I mean, granted, I was just a high school kid. I didn't really know much about food, but that food was just special. And I'll never forget that meal with that family because everything was made from scratch. All the pastas, all the sauces. For us here in the South, we think of Italian. We think of something that's just coated in red sauce and then thrown over spaghetti and then or Alfredo or most southern thing ever is just get Alfredo and dump some yo mama sauce in it and you've got jumbo, pastalaya or whatever. This was something that it didn't have a bunch of tomato sauces or cream sauces. It was very, very simple pasta carbonaras and some things like that I had never had before. And everything, including the pasta, was made from scratch. It was so delicious. Third meal, man. Um, it sounds crazy. And again, I feel like I'm supposed to say some fine dine meal, but one of the best dishes that I just remember sitting there enjoying, and maybe it was because it was such a long trip, but I'm talking about outside of our house. I'm not gonna put me and you in this conversation. We were on our, my wife is family is French Canadian, and we were on kind of two ways to get back home. One's the easy drive through Montreal and down. There's another more fun ride if you don't mind the backwood roads. It saves you about an hour, but you got to be willing to drive down some gravel roads for a couple miles. And down one of those gravel roads was basically a double wide in the middle of this mountain range. And all they had out there was pretty much poutine, which is just French fries, cheese curds, and gravy. They might have had a hamburger or a hot dog, but that's not what I remember. I remember having these fresh cut French fries, cheese curds that were made actually there in that town, and he had beef bones and everything back there making the gravy from scratch. And that dish was so good. And it was a nice, cool day. We sat outside and literally just looked at the mountain range. And it was, for a big boy, already just being nice and cool outside was a win. And then it was just a really good, simple dish that shouldn't be that high quality. But this one guy in the middle of nowhere was going way over and beyond for something as simple as poutine. And I'll just never forget looking up there and seeing the bones in the stock pots and literally working out of a
things on the counter. You
yeah.
could like literally buy like a big dill pickle or pickled eggs
Yeah.
or pickled frog legs. He had all those pickled items he had in these huge 1 and 2 gallon jars just sitting on the
Yeah.
countertop.
It was, again, it was a once in a lifetime spot to stop at. You know, we've had a couple of those spots. You know, there was the Italian spot that was in that ski resort town. I believe that's that same route through. What was the name of that town? Can't remember. But, you know, again, I get super high quality product. There we go. So I'm gonna hold on to this. Now, obviously, always be super careful. This is a Ninja. This is like our new toy. Again, I'll leave a link in the description down below if you're looking for one of these. But this thing has been amazing. We've been making hot sauces with it, all kinds of stuff. So, boom. We're just gonna let this go for a couple minutes. Still gotta figure these buttons out. Let's go. There it goes. Maybe not. Oh, I see what it is. Just a button right here. All these safety features. There we go. Bring this a little closer while that's doing that. I'm gonna grab these collard greens out. Boom. There we go. No more loud noises.
JB,
Yeah.
he made your red beans and rice the other day, and it was very comforting.
Thank you. Thank you. Red beans and rice, again, it's just a good go-to Southern item. I mean, it could be a side, it could be an entree. I'm squeezing out, by the way, I'm squeezing out all this excess water just so it doesn't water down that sauce that we've been working hard on. I'm a I'm a big fan of red beans and rice. Mary Ev actually does a good red beans and rice as well. Again, focus in on just getting a really high quality sausage to go in there, and then get a good quality red bean. Don't go in and get the cheap red bean. Splurge a little bit. Maybe even go over to the Hispanic shop. They typically tend to have really good red beans there. And again, it's just take your time making them, do them right. Really develop that fat by adding in the sausage or bacon and all that. Distribute that flavors in the fat, and then start building your way up.
Did you do traditional Southern red beans and rice?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. With sausage. Yes. Looking for that strainer. Where did you go, my friend? I just had you. I knew I was missing something in my mise en place. You know, this is what I get. You know, chefs? That little mini strainer. Is it hanging right here in front of me? Because I feel like it's probably hanging right here in front of me. Oh, there we go. So just to give you a heads up on where we're at, so we're going to strain the sauce here in just a minute. We got our salmon continuing to work right here. Huzzah! Here we go. Fine mesh strainer. Let's see. That's why you have the best life partners right there. Salmon is starting to get crispy, so I'm going to bump the heat just a little bit, kind of speed up that skin.
How tired were you on the show to make you say one fish, blue fish, red
one chef, two chef, three chef, blue chef?
Yes.
Um,
Because you look a little tired, just a little tired.
Yeah, so there was multiple things going on that day. We had the punishment that day was actually brutal. And so to make, I think we made curry paste. And so to do that, you have to muddle all of these peppers. And everybody just seemed to kind of take their time on grating the coconut and all the other stuff. And so was slightly dumb and I finished my project too early. So what did I have to do? I had to sit there and mortal and pestle spicy peppers. So all of that mist as you're hitting it in and grinding it in there, because it's got to be like this puree, is literally that mist is just going in your eyes. So at this point, I am covered in spicy peppers. I've tried washing my hands. I've tried rubbing them on stainless steel. I felt like I scraped them between the punishment and dinner service about till my skin fell off and still could not get that off of my fingers. That was part of it. And then the other part is there is a certain level of mental stability that you lack on this show. When you see people snap on the show, there's a reason for it. Like there is a lot of pressure and a lot of things going on. So it's very important that you kind of keep that in mind when you watch the show. It is stressful. Imagine somebody coming to you and being like, you're going to play this piece right here, $250,000. The whole world is watching you. Cameras are here, 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 here. And by the way, there's hidden cameras in those mirrors. Those are double-sided mirrors. So, and go. And so you're kind of in this constant state of you don't know what's real, what's fake. It's it's a challenge. It's definitely a challenge. And by the time now we're probably in our second week of recording or getting close to it. It's very difficult. You're definitely starting to wear out at this point. So again, we're gonna start to strain this through. Man, this smells good. I think you see when players or contestants start to kind of snap. I 100% totally get it where I did not before. I'd be 100% honest with you. I used to think it was a big joke. When these guys, I knew it was tough, but you see the people who just outright snap on national television. You're like, oh man, that'll never be me. And then you get there and it is hell in a handbasket. I mean, I think Hell's Kitchen is probably the best name for that show because it's not easy being there. And again, you're on the national stage at this point. People, it's interesting to see the show, and I 100% believe that this season in particular has had some of the best contestants to get eliminated. I think a lot of our team, or my teammates and other contestants, could very well get black jackets on other seasons. Everyone there is expected to be the best. You're quote unquote representing your state. And again, I think there's some really talented chefs that have already left us. Chef Bradley, super talented. But you see how the kitchen, he was here with us last week. He even admitted that he cried. He straight up cried. And if you saw him like during one of those bits, you could see the tear line go down. You feel bad. But it's kind of like that's kind of what Hell's Kitchen is. It's there to break you. All right, so we're gonna add in our collard greens. We're gonna start to stew these.
You're stewing them in that.
Putting them back into the curry mix. I'm gonna give those just a couple seconds. Bring it back up. Let me grab a spoon from over here. Just give her a little bit of taste, just so I can start to judge where we're at because I have not. Oh yeah. So just need a little bit of salt. A little bit of pepper. So I got to ask, since you guys have been asking me questions, I want to ask y'all a question. What type of salmon do y'all prefer? Do y'all prefer the sockeye? Are you preferring the rainbow char? Do you like Atlantic? Do you like Norwegian? Is there anybody out there that's got a preference? Still working on that skin. Is anybody commenting in?
No.
Okay.
There's just a delay.
Oh, gotcha. There's a delay. I think that's such an interesting topic. Get that white, just so I don't have little ginger bits all in my stuff. This is looking amazing.
Fresh and delicious.
Fresh and delicious. So to garnish this up, I do have just a little bit of lemon. I found this the other day in, I did it again, didn't I? This is a lime. This is a lime. I'm going to get it right today at some point. This is a lime channel. This is family. This is a lime. Over here, we have kind of an Indian style chili crisp. So it's got like fried shallots, chili peppers, ginger, really, really big in flavor. This is what I'm missing in that. So one thing I am missing is just a little bit of chicken. I'm going to add just a little bit of chicken base. You could use chicken stock. This is an organic chicken base. You could use stock, loosen it, and then you have to re-thicken it again or put it in from the beginning. It'll just take longer. I'm going to put in just chicken base and kind of keep that process working. Again, keeping an eye on this salmon. Definitely don't want this salmon to burn on me. I would hate to burn it here. There we go. Got it right where we want it. Going to add in about a tablespoon and a half of butter. Now we're just going to kind of braise it up. Let it get looking good. Again, what we're doing is just kind of infusing that fat onto the very top. It's going to help us also get that skin finished up. And then we're going to be able to cook the last bit of the salmon, the last 80% of the way through. Again, all we're doing at this point, we're kind of waiting on this collards to cook just a little bit. And then now we're going to add in our sweet potatoes. Our yams. There we go. This is looking amazing. Got about 20 seconds left. This. All right.
Got a really cool comment here.
Okay.
JB said this is basically getting a free master class on cooking from a Hell's Kitchen chef. I'm taking notes each time I watch. Thank you for sharing your techniques and tips.
Thank you, man. Thank you. Again, it's I think it's fun to come out here, have fun. I'll make sure I pin that comment to the top. All right. It's always a pleasure to come out and have some fun and goof off. All right, let's give this one more quick taste just to make sure we're where we need to be. Oh, yeah. One more little drop of salt. And then I am going to add just one more little drop of baste. A little chicken baste, just a literally less than a teaspoon. I don't want to be too vigorous because I don't want to shake and crush up all the sweet potatoes. All right. We are set and good to go. So now let's turn all this off so I don't burn myself while I'm moving things around. Because that sounds like something chef would do. Let me get a nice little spoonful.
JB says he's going to make it to your restaurant one day here in Mississippi.
Come on out and hang out with us. We're actually looking at doing some cooking events. My wife found a spot actually very close to our church where we could maybe do like a meetup. I think it'd be a lot of fun to get together and do like a joint cooking. Maybe they'd let us set up a smoke pit and let's smoke some smoke some pigs and have some fun. So there's the base right there. Look how colorful and beautiful that is. Again, nice, beautiful cooked through yams. And we're going to add this right over the top. Nice big old piece right there. Skin super crispy. Now to add on just a little bit of extra flavor, let me get a fresh spoon. Hiya! Again, for me, like this is, again, we talk about like flavor bombs and things that just pack on the flavor. Chili crunches are one of those things that definitely do that. Here we go. And again, it's going to build up some spice as well. So I like to give a little drizzle of the oil around, but I also like to give just a little bit of that extra crunch right there on top. And if you just have to garnish with some leaves, I'm going to put just a little bit of cilantro here, a little bit of cilantro there. And that's it. Right there, looking absolutely beautiful, super clean, super easy, not complicated at all. Again, we really impacted them. We'll bring this over here because this thing's still acting hot. Work too hard on that. I don't want to overcook those potatoes at this point. So again, we really impacted a lot of flavor. And again, all that flavor that really wasn't that difficult. Yeah, I had some extra options just to make it bougie, like blending it and some things like that. But you could definitely not do that and be just fine. That's just the chef being particular. You could easily just blend it in there, or you could maybe shave the lemongrass finer and have that basically melt into the sauce and you'd be just fine. So let's give it a little bit of a taste. Get all the collards. Yeah, everything you want in collards. They're tangy. They got some sweetness. There's a little bit of acid. You got some acidity from that lime. I almost said lemon, but it was lime. And if you want to, you can go in, give it just a little bit over the top, give it just a little bit more. And then, again, look at this, just super tender, perfectly cooked. Just kind of want to show that little corner right there. It's juicy. It's not dry at all. I mean, it is like pouring juice. Absolutely amazing. We can dip that down there in that little curry base. It's so good. Again, soul food sometimes needs a little bit of a twist. It's there to be fun. I think that's what makes different cuisines fun, is that, melding things together and, have fun with your food. I'm that kid who probably got in trouble, though my siblings would probably disagree. I got in trouble a lot for playing with my food. My kids, my siblings say I never got in trouble, but because I was the favorite child. But I remember getting in trouble at my grandmother's house and growing up, my playing with my food. And again, it's what you keep doing. It's what you're about, right? Having fun in the kitchen, learning new stuff, mixing things together. My name is Jonathan Boyd. Remember, all this stuff is in the links down below. When these get posted on Thursday, we do live on Sundays. They get posted live on Thursdays. There's so many items, though, that we do other than these lives. So if you've not had a chance yet, make sure that you hit this video here or this video here once this video is posted. And these will be a great playlist for you to enjoy. If not, make sure that you hop over to Deep South Foodies on YouTube, and you can always find us there. All of our great links are there from Instagram, TikTok, and we're building out our website. So again, it's an absolute pleasure to have you here. We'll see you next Sunday, 6 o'clock Eastern time for Deep South Live. Have a good one.
Save me a bite. He's packing up his minivan.
Come on out.